Hey y'all, it's your girl Cassandra back with another Tales from the Thrift for you guys. Y'all, I am feverishly making stuff for my new shop. So, let's get started with project number one. So, for project number one, y'all, I got this little crock. I guess it's a little crock from Goodwill, and it's a ceramic. Somebody had already sprayed it gray. But it had a lid, and y'all know how I love things with lids. I think I paid like $10 for it. So, but I really did like it. It's heavy and good quality made. And I think when I got it, y'all, it had like spaghetti in it. So, like spaghetti pieces in it. So I'm going to keep it a kitchen crock. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of give it a little scuff sand. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to brush on some shellac. So that is what I'm doing now. That's the very first step before we can get started on the fun stuff. Hey, darling. So I am going to be using milk paint, y'all, on every project that I do in this particular video. So I've mixed up, y'all, look at your girl. I'm mixing milk paint now. So I'm mixing up some old olive, some pantry door, and some basil for this really cool green. And that is what I'm going to be doing this crock in.
Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand?
I get my milk paint from a friend of mine, Rachel, and you can check out her website. This is Sweet Pickins, and you can check out her website at stellarosemercantile.co if you're interested in milk paint too. So I'm really kind of trying to get the hang of this milk paint, y'all. I really am liking it too. And shellac is like the perfect, backdrop, for lack of a better word, or starting point for the milk paint. It just kind of enhances that crackle and that crazing. So that's what I'm doing. I'm just getting my milk paint on. I'll be doing 2 coats of this, but I am going to be adding molds, y'all. So I'm just going to do a first coat, and then I'm going to get my molds on. So this is IOD's newest mold that came out spring of this year. This is the Spring Garden Mold by IOD, and I have just been chomping at the bit to use this giant lettuce leaf or whatever it is, cabbage leaf or whatever. So I'm just going to make a mold of everything on this particular mold using my DOS clay, and that's what I'm going to be using on the front of this crock.
Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday.
So I made a casting of everything, every element on the mold. And now I'm just going to use my Tite Bond quick and thick glue, and I'm going to add them to or over the first coat of my milk paint.
Love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for 2. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the
Now I've gotten all the molds made and I've gotten them all glued on, and I did give them a few minutes to dry. And now I'm coming back with a second coat of my milk paint because I didn't want my milk paint to have to sit so long. It doesn't keep very well. It will dry out or kind of make this, it'll kind of turn into this gelatin type stuff. So once my molds dried just for a little bit, I went ahead and got my milk paint again, and then I'm going to do a second coat over this whole crock, including every mold.
Can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling.
And I think this is just my way of doing this, y'all, because I'm not very good at doing the edges of a mold. So I could have just come back in and did the edges of the mold in the colors that I actually want the mold to be. But it's just easier for me to come back over the entire thing, all of the molds, with the same color I'm using. And then I can come back and I can dry brush the other colors on. But before I do that, I'm going to go in and I'm going to add a little typography because y'all know I love to put some words on stuff. So I'm going to add kitchen cook onto this particular side of the crock. And I am going to be using the small letters. And this is from IOD's little stamp. And it has some really cool letters and stuff in it. And it's actually called the apothecary labels. It also has, you know, 2 different sets of font type font type letters and some numbers as well. But once I get that done, now I'm going to come back with some different colors and I'm going to do some dry brushing so that everything doesn't blend in and look the same.
Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey, come on now and take my hand.
All right, y'all, after the dry brushing, it's time to take a quick look back at what our crock looked like before. And, you know, it wasn't bad. I did find out, though, that it had some blue design underneath it, which is, I guess, is why they sprayed it gray, because I don't guess they like that either. But let's take a look at what it looks like now, y'all. That milk paint combination made the prettiest green. And I got some great crackle. I did get some chips too, and I got a couple of chips in places that I really didn't want it, and so I kind of made an extra little mold to cover that up. And then I sealed it all up with some Sweet Pickins dark oil wax, and it turned out really pretty, I think. All right, on to project number 2. My sister got me this sweet little wooden bench at Goodwill, y'all. She paid like $5 for it. It was in really good shape. The only problem is that on the corner, the top corner, looks like maybe a puppy had chewed on it or something. And so I'm just going to be adding a little Bondo and kind of filling that in. I don't use Bondo a lot, but I'm going to fill that in with some Bondo, and then I'm going to sand it off. After that, I'm going to add some the shellac. I'm going to brush it on, and then we're going to move on to our next milk paint piece.
Yeah, the countryside is so pretty with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count.
And I said that this little chewed up part was the only problem, and it was. But when I went outside to start sanding it all down and sanding the bundle off, I broke a piece of the leg off, y'all. I was like, what in the world? But it was an easy fix with some tight bond quick and thick, so I put it back on. So here I am now. I'm just going to brush on a couple of coats of shellac. Shellac is such a great sealer, y'all. I mean, it really is. And it dries quick. There's not a lot of fume. And I kind of like brushing it on, actually. So I'm going to brush on 2 coats of shellac, and then we're going to move on. Oh, and I forgot the main part about using shellac, y'all. I think it's the catalyst or the promoter for all of the crackle that you get with the milk paint. So that's the best part. So I'm going to go in now, and I'm going to be using Sweet Pickins milk paint called Bluebird. It's kind of this light blue color. And if you've never used milk paint before, it's a powder paint. You mix it 1-to-1 ratio, so 1 part paint to 1 part water. You stir it up really, really good for about 2 minutes and set it aside, let it thicken up, and then it's good to go. So I'm just going to brush on. I'm going to do 1 coat, and I'm going to be using a mold again, so I'm going to be using that same, the way that I did it on the first project. I'm going to be repeating that. So I'll put on my first coat, I'll put on my mold, and then I will put on a second coat over the mold, and then I'll do some dry brushing. So this is IOD's Tulips mold, and it is one of the molds also from this spring 2026. So I am going to be adding some tulips to the back part, or the backrest part of this bench. I kind of want to make it look kind of like a garden bench, you know. Maybe something that you see in the park or something. So I'm just going to cast some tulip molds, and then I am going to once again add my Tite Bond Quick and Thick glue, making sure that I get the glue all the way out to the ends of the mold. And I am going to be adding those tulips onto the back of this bench.
Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand. Hey, darling, I love it when it's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for 2. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far.
So on this particular tulip, y'all, I had to kind of do a little bit of surgery. First of all, my stem fell off of the actual flower itself, so I had to put the stem on first. But these tulips are rather large, so this mold is, I mean, this is some big tulips in this mold. And so I kind of misjudged how much room I had. So you'll see that I'm going to have to go in and kind of trim my stem down and kind of move it over a little bit and do a little bit of surgery before I can get the leaf onto this particular mold. But in the end, y'all, I did it. It all worked out. And I didn't mean to say put the leaf on. I meant to say before I can get the actual flower part on. Because I already got the stem down. I just had to trim it down and kind of move my stem around and kind of trim it off some before I could actually get the flower part of the tulip to fit on there.
Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now.
All right, all the molds are on, and aren't they cute, y'all? But you can tell these are really big blooms on this tulip mold. So I am going back in now. I gave them a little bit of time to dry again, not so much so that my milk paint would dry out, but they are pretty much dry. And so I'm coming back in now with my second coat of this bluebird milk paint, and I'm going right over the molds and the whole bench. I ended up actually giving this little bench 3 coats.
It's me and you on the road with a couple of tunes in a car for 2. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright.
All right, y'all, time for a little bit more wording. I am going to be adding the word Secret Garden onto the back top part of the bench with IOD's typesetting stamp. And again, just in case, I'm thinking maybe the placement of this little bench in somebody's space, you might be able to see the back side as well. And I just wanted to put something back there. It's definitely wide enough to add something back there, but I didn't want to add any more molds. So I'm going to come back in with a little bit more typography. Now, I don't know. Am I being honest with myself? Am I doing that because somebody may see the backside? Or am I doing it just because I cannot help adding letters, y'all? Anyway, I'm adding the word Secret Garden, or the words Secret Garden, onto the backside of the bench.
Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open.
All right, now coming back in with a little bit of dry brushing, y'all, so as to add a little bit more depth, a little bit more, give it a little bit more character so that everything doesn't all look the same, of course. So I'm going to go in with some deep green. I think this is Monet's Garden by DIY Paint. And then I'm going to make my tulips yellow. So I'll be using Liquid Sunshine by DIY Paint. And I'm just dry brushing it on. So you will see kind of a variation because there will be points where you can still see the bluebird milk paint. So I'm not like completely painting everything in. Just a dry brush, just to add that definition and dimension.
Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday. Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now.
All right, we're all done. Let's take a look back, y'all. Nice, cute little plain wooden bench. And let's take a look at what we've turned it into. Look how pretty this came out, y'all. I added some dark oil wax all over to seal in the milk paint, and I couldn't help adding the word tulips, y'all. I got a lot of good crackle and some chipping, and I'm so happy with how this came out. I think it turned out really pretty. What do y'all think? I hope you like it too. All right, let's move on to project number 3. I have had this little metal bag with the handle. It is so cute. I got it at a garage sale for $3 last summer, y'all. Has this couple sipping wine on it, and it wasn't bad at all. It was in pretty decent shape. I am going to be using IOD's transfer called Collage des Fleurs. I'm saying that in my French country girl slang voice because I have no idea how to pronounce it. But that is going to be the star of the show. But before I do that, I'm going to give it a little bit of scuff sand so that my milk paint has something to stick to. Once I get that all cleaned off, I'm going to give it a couple coats of shellac. And then I'm going to be using Sweet Pickens Corabelle milk paint color. My first time using it, but I really do love it, y'all. It really is a pretty color. So I ended up giving this bag 2 coats of the Corabelle milk paint.
Baby, don't you understand that we only get one life? I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand. Yeah, we only get one life. I wanna make it count, honey. Come on now and take my hand. Hey, darling, can I tell you what's been on my mind? Sick and tired of the 9 to 5 in the city life. Hey, darling, we could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city.
Okay, and here I am. I am just going to start pulling off these big giant blooms off of this beautiful transfer. This is a beautiful transfer, y'all, and I hadn't ever used it. So I am just going to start kind of placing them, layering them on top of one another on both the front and the back side of this piece. Now, I do want to say, though, that before I started putting on the transfers, I actually took the bag back outside and I gave it a couple of coats of the weather defense so that I would have kind of like a seal to so that my transfers would go on well.
Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time, driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car, leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand?
By now, y'all are probably like, Cassandra, what? More letters? Yes, ma'am, more letters. I'm going to actually spell out the name of the transfer onto the bag, Collage des Fleurs, just to give it a little bit more interest, y'all.
Let's get out, we can leave this.
I have to say that I think this was my favorite project of all the projects in this video. That was a look back. Now here's a look forward. Oh my gosh, y'all, this turned out so pretty. I gave it some white wax and some clear wax, and then I used some of the decrepit dust around the edges to kind of give it a little bit of shadow. And then I trimmed off the roping part on the bottom and the top with none other than, yes, some gold. So I think that turned out beautifully. All right, y'all, project number 4 and our final project for this video. I bought this vase for myself, so I've had it for quite a while. I bought it from a friend of mine who owns an import store up in Dallas, Fort Worth. And I just decided it was time for it to get a makeover. So it's already got some texture to it. After I cleaned it off a bit, I'm brushing on a couple coats of shellac.
Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive.
Now, after 2 coats of the shellac, I let it dry, and I'm going to be using artichoke milk paint by Sweet Pickins on this vase. Y'all, I fell in love with this artichoke green. It is beautiful. So I'm going to actually be doing 2 coats on the base of this artichoke. If you're interested in any of the IOD products that you saw me use in this video, you're welcome to take a look on my website. It's www.pecanporchboutique.com.
On the road with a couple of tunes in a car for 2. Hey, darling, you know we're gonna have a really good time. Driving in the middle of the night when the stars are bright. Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city.
Now I'm going to be adding some of the elements from IOD's Wander transfer. Y'all, this is one of the I won't say very first, but definitely one of the older transfers. And I still love this transfer, y'all. So I'll be adding some of the Wander transfer elements, and yes, I will be adding more words. But first we're going to get our clippings. I've already cut them out, the ones that I want to use, and we're going to add them to this vase. This is a very shapely vase, so I kind of wanted the transfer to kind of run kind of up the edge or up the side, all the way from the bottom to the top.
Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday.
I just want to take a moment to thank all of you who tune in to my videos. I really appreciate your support. I really do. Thank you guys so much. If you like the video, don't forget to please leave me a thumbs up and leave me a comment. I always try to read every comment and respond. So thanks again, you guys. So we'll continue to get our Wander transfers on. I did get a lot of good crackle with this color milk paint. And it turned out really, really pretty. So keep watching to the end so you can tell me what you think. I thought it turned out really, really good.
We could get out of town, see the beautiful world around, wanna see it now. Pack our bags and get in that car. Leave a little note and we'll drive real far. Let's get out, we can leave this city. Let's drive to the open air. Yeah, the countryside is so pretty, with the wind blowing in your hair. We can look back someday, baby, don't you understand?
All right, y'all, time to take a look at where we started. This was a beautiful vase, in itself. Very shapely. There was really nothing wrong with it, but I think it turned out so much better. You guys can tell me what you think. Look at what we have. I love this artichoke green on here with the little dark oil wax. I got a lot of good crackle. And I saw this phrase that said, "All who wander are not lost." And I added it to this vase. And I just think it turned out really pretty. I hope you guys do too. As always, thank you guys so much for watching. Until next time, don't forget to bud, bloom, and be unique. Bye for now.